So I'm a theatre maker, director and choreographer. I started life out studying dance and mime, where I learnt to do a bit of this stuff. And I can do a little bit of what those guys can do as well. So a little bit, I think we'll have to have a competition, I think. So, got a bit of fun with that. I've recreated the Apollo 11 moon landing with my hands for a whole bunch of astronauts in Houston, which was good fun. And I'm also a hand model. And this fascination with hands led me to make a collaboration with Professor Jonathan Cole in London. And with funding from the Wellcome Trust in London, we created a project called The Articulate Hand. And the Articulate Hand looks at the beauty and grace still found in hands that are impaired in some way. And here I want to share with you over the coming days some aspects of that project. I was very lucky enough to meet a wonderful lady called Debbie Graham. She lives on the south coast of England. When she was 23, she dived into a swimming pool, missed the bottom of the pool, and hit her head on the other side, breaking her neck at C5. She floated to the surface. If her friends hadn't turned her over, she'd have drowned. She's quadriplegic. She, Debbie, will be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. She had many operations to begin with to aid some mobility in her upper body. She had a tendon transfer, where they took the tendon here from the upper arm, unattached it here, and reattached it to the lower part of her arm. So when her brain sent a message to here, it in turn sent a message here so she could straighten her arm a bit. She's not robotic, but one could say she is bionic, because she has a whole series of electrodes inserted under the skin of her arm and hand.
Right, what they did is implanted some electrodes, I think it's 8 electrodes, on different muscles in my arm and in my hand. You can see there's one there. There are tiny wires connecting all these electrodes, and they go up my arm, right the way up my arm, up here, and there's a receiver just under my skin here. And then I have a coil stuck over the receiver. That wire is what you can see here. The button's here to switch it on. That's connected by a little metal rod which is stuck to my shoulder. So what it means is these electrodes on my muscles are all connected up to a computer on the back of my chair. So if I switch my hand on now, my left hand, I'm now switched on. My shoulder now will control the movement in my right hand. My left shoulder controls the movement in my right hand. So by moving my left shoulder back, I'm opening up my right hand, and by moving my shoulder forward slightly, I'm closing my right hand. So now this means that I can, for example, feed myself. Whereas before I would either have to have somebody feed me, or I would have a splint, which was just a strap that I'd strap a fork onto my hand. I can now pick up a fork. So if I get the fork into the right position, which I have now, I now move my left shoulder forwards to close my hand around my fork. And now I lock my shoulder by flicking my shoulder like that. As if I haven't locked it. I'm now locked. So I can now just push my finger in a bit. So I can now eat, hold a fork and eat. This is very easy. But I am aware that I have to keep this left shoulder kind of still, because although I'm locked, because it's a sensitive thing and I only have to move or kind of laugh or breathe funny, I can unlock it and then I end up with food everywhere.
So what Debbie has in her right hand is the freehand system. As she said, these electrodes are inserted under the skin and the wires are connected to the switch to a computer on the back of the chair so she can control her hand. She gets kind of electric current through her hand, so if you shake hands with her, it's kind of amazing because she's got a really tight grip. And it's interesting that she gets the current through the fork, and when she's eating potatoes, she gets a little electric shock, but she doesn't with carrots. Maybe someone knows the answer to that, I don't know. Her fingers tend to dig into her palms, so they contract very, very tightly, and she likes to unfurl her hands as much as she can. She has really very beautiful hands. She's always opening them, and she often sits, uses that little crease on the back of her hand, puts her elbow there, and uses her chin to open the other hand, and she'll sit like this for hours, because also she's resting on her hand. Because she's quadriplegic, it's very hard to actually hold yourself up. You all sit up perfectly well, you don't think about it. But for her, this is quite an effort to sit up. Also, it means that she's touching her face. I mean, you touch your face 100 times a day, you don't even think about it. But for her, she has to make it a deliberate action to do it. But the most important thing the freehand system gave Debbie is what she most desired, and that was her independence. Because not only could she eat on her own, but it meant that she could actually brush her hair and she could grow her hair again.